you want me to be cold.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
I'm good now. It's good.
It didn't come on. There you go.
Okay, I think we're on.
Bluetooth.
Looks like
Got
we're good
people?
here. No people. No people, just us people. All right, here we are. It's the January 6th vigil in Northern Neck. This is day 1388. It is October 25th, 2024. And as always, we start out with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. And then we're going to take a call here in a couple of minutes. I'm actually going to make a call. And we'll kick that off. And then the J6ers usually call us around 7:30. It's 7 o'clock right now, a little bit after. And I'm going to, instead of just a typical prayer, I want to read a little bit of scripture that I think is very interesting and topical for where we are right now in our fight in this country. And it's a battle that is way more than just politics. So I'll just say, Heavenly Father, please allow me to read this piece of scripture. And it is Ephesians 6:12. For we wrestle not against flesh and bone, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And I think that's enough for tonight. And we'll go on to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, that was an interesting Bible segment right there.
The background on that is, you guys know I'm a fan of Hal Woltz and Justice Denied, and I've been corresponding with him. And I told him that I was going to be sharing his book with a group that I spoke to last week. It was a church group, and that prompted him to send that note. And he said, to follow it up, he says, Jesus came not in peace, but to put the devil on notice that his time is measured. But he left us to fight that battle to its end, and avoiding it only allows that evil to prosper and grow.
That's fact.
The point being, a lot of folks, not just religious folks, but just a lot of people in their normal day-to-day activities, they see things that are not right, but they figure it's not their place or it's someone else's job to do it. And this is what this is all about. It's our job to step up and call out injustice when we see it. And we sure do see it with the J6ers.
It's kind of a fine line to walk between being your brother's keeper and not being your brother's keeper. There's judicious application of good judgment to be able to walk that line where on one side it's, on either side really, it's a thin line. If you're too much to one side or too much to the other, you're doing something wrong. So that's the discipline that everybody needs to get. You can't resurrect McCarthyism on the one hand, and you can't go off and be so loose that you don't pay attention to anything like that comment. Kitty Genovese, that's how that works. Nobody wanted, not my problem, I don't want to get involved. And she died for that. In the middle of the street, in broad daylight, in front of God and everybody, nobody helped her because
Not
I
my
don't want to
problem.
get involved.
Really? Who is this?
Kitty Genovese was robbed and beaten in the early 1960s in Manhattan on the streets, and nobody helped her. People watched it happen. People walked by. They stepped over her bleeding body
My
and kept
gosh.
walking. Nobody did anything.
Can you imagine?
And she died.
And they'd still do it today?
They
It's
still
even
do it.
worse
Oh,
now.
it's even worse today. They might even help.
Yeah. Let's rob them
So-
while they're down there dying.
That's the one extreme where people say, oh, it's not my problem. Then the other extreme is, you know, Commander Flag from MASH days. You remember Commander Flag? And he's like, oh yeah, you're a commie. Going the total opposite extreme. So there's this middle road that things need to kind of follow, because both sides of it are wrong.
Give an extra pen.
Nope, just food.
No,
I'll just borrow Cheryl's. I'll just borrow Cheryl's.
I'll see if I have it.
If I brought my pocketbook in, I would, but I didn't.
I probably have something.
All right, so I'm going to make a call here to the fiance of a January 6er, and a lot of our folks know who I'm speaking of when I talk about Desiree. Barry Ramey is her man, who is in the BOP in Florida. And I'll let her tell the story, but he's got a big event coming up, and she's joining us to talk about that, so let me get her online.
Hello.
Hey, Desiree, you're on with us on the Northern Neck Patriot J6 Vigil.
Northern Neck Patriots. Yay!
Desiree,
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Cheryl and Maurice, Tuna Frog.
Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Undying, relentless support for J6ers. It's amazing.
So how are you tonight, and what would you like to tell us about?
I'm so excited. I want to tell you about Barry's birthday. It's tomorrow. And why I'm so excited is because so many things have happened this week. So I am on a mission all week. And I don't know if any of you know this, like when you're like planning to surprise your like significant other and they have no idea, and it just starts getting bigger and bigger, and you're like super excited and you can't say anything. That's where I'm at right now. So Heather does a J6 newsletter, and I contribute to it every week, mostly to help the Christians wake up and start voting at the polls. And this week I decided to write about Barry and his birthday coming up, and I came up with this thing called Operation Birthday Surprise Birthday. And what it is people can send birthday messages and prayers and through the website, and I can read them to him tomorrow, which is his actual birthday. And the second thing is they can send donations, because there's movies. And, of course, we have our legal debt that's been piling over years. And so why I'm so excited is because there's been such a large response. First of all, last week, Cowboy Logic did an interview with me. They aired it. And then this week, John Strand posted a story about his experience when he was in prison with Barry. This is such a amazing story about how Barry's character really is. You can find these all on my my Twitter or X, whatever page, the Osprey_Sensei. And he just went to this really amazing story about Barry, and this one has 42,000 views.
Wow.
So many people responded, and there's so much love pouring in for Barry. It has just lit me up for the last 2 days. John Strand talks about a interaction with Barry and another one, and then there was a point where the guards were dragging John Strand away, and Barry was also handcuffed, and he yelled to John Strand, don't give up, man. I know what they're doing to you, but you're not gonna break. I love you. And John's like, I can't hold back the tears as I write this. He's this big man, also suffering, tough guy, prison, yells out that he loves me, and it may have saved my life. Like, it's just so amazing. Like, after all this time, you know, everything is written out there, you know, that is so negative about Barry, and it to, like, really see his true character be spoken about is just lit me up. And then the Gateway Pundit, I submitted to them, and they posted that yesterday. And I literally, like, I think had 176 emails I replied to. It's insane. And so I am so excited, and I'm gonna have to, like, summarize, you know, all the stuff to Barry, but I'll be able to do that because a lot of the messages are, you know, the same type of support, you know, prayers and stuff, and I'll be able to pull out the specifics from each one of them. We'll spend some extra time talking tomorrow.
Hey, Desiree.
Yeah.
I hate to cut you off, but I've got to take a call from the jail.
Oh, okay, yeah. So where you can find that, I'll just tell you, just go to ospreysensei.com/birthday and you'll see all the stuff. Love you guys.
Love you too. We'll call you back.
Okay. Okay, bye.
Come on.
We lose them.
Yep.
Well, you gotta go to the back of the line.
I should let her hang up first. Sorry, guys. Well, we'll call it back, I guess. No, that's right.
Hey there.
Hey, I lost the call, so hey, you're
Oh,
back.
no.
You're our number one now again.
Okay. Yeah, so, like I said, I'm just so lit up. I'm so excited. And, you know, like, when Barry calls me and stuff, he's like, oh, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, I'm just taking care of some things. I was so excited to surprise him tomorrow because it's like, it's so terrible, you know, like they're holding back his mail, and they're, you know, he can't even get cards, and like, they're just, it's unbelievable. You know, he's got his health on his mind, and, you know, just really just, it's a terrible place to spend your birthday. You know, the AC isn't working in his unit, you know?
Oh, great.
And so it's like to be able to bring this in, when Barry hears from people how they support him, it just gives him this wave of strength and energy and life, you know, to be connected to the outside world. He's always like, and especially like if I'm doing something on my own, like he asks me to do things, you know, like go do this or do that or whatever. But like when I come up with something myself, it like lights him up even more. And so I'm just so excited about bringing him joy tomorrow.
That's wonderful.
And I just, because it's Harris, I don't like the word joy anymore. Just excitement and love, and, you know, just support, and like for love, for him to hear from people, like very specific, very heartfelt support.
I'm going to try it again.
Does the other guy come in?
Yeah,
Okay.
You hang up and then I'll pick it up.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse, your current balance is $54.30. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hey.
How's it doing, Tom?
Good, Josh.
Yes, this is Josh Atwood from the DC jail.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Josh.
Great. Hey, Hey, are you close to your microphone?
Yeah, does it sound like I'm quiet?
You better now.
That's better.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, this phone, I don't think it's been cleaned in a while, and you can smell the last person's bad breath.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So I was like holding it away from my face.
Polish
but,
it with your shirt.
I can endure it for 15 minutes.
Well, or I can change things here if you need to. I don't want to force you to do that. Oh my God.
Yeah, you find yourself in a lot of situations. Brittany always says that I'm a germaphobe. And, being in this place has
Cured you?
made me learn to deal with things that I normally wouldn't have to deal with.
Well, let me do something. Hang just a second here. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, this is louder, and you can put it away from your face now.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nothing too much has been going on with me. Last minute, I guess it was Monday, they had brought the voter cards in, passed them out to everybody, and I didn't get one. And I'm like, wow, I signed up to vote. I don't understand what's going on. So then I put in a bunch of different requests, and they actually sent somebody here today to me to explain everything that was going on, but I had already talked to Brittany, and she had sent me a mail-in ballot, so I'll be voting in Pennsylvania instead of here.
That's great. Yeah, today was the deadline in Virginia for mail-in ballot application. So.
Oh yeah, I don't know exactly what day it is for Pennsylvania. Brittany, she's been trying to get ready for her sister's wedding, which is tomorrow. She's being, what is it called? Maid of honor, I think is what that's called.
Yeah.
And she's been trying to get everything set up, and she's been working on her speech. And she's had so much going on. She's taking care of the kids and all that. So I was like, I feel bad for even asking her to like look something up for me or do anything, but she was able to get the ballot sent out to me. And surprisingly, they responded to my messages here at the jail really quickly and sent the guy down, Mr. Gaskin, to help me get everything set up. And he told me that he's going to put a note in the mailroom so that way, as soon as my ballot comes in, not to let it set around, to bring it straight to me, to try to speed the process up. I guess stuff set in the mailroom for weeks, if not months, before you get it. So I thought that would be pretty nice. So we shall see.
Fantastic. Well, so I guess I'm not going to ask you who you're voting for.
Any guess?
Yeah. I think you already know. But for sure, everything on the TV says that Trump's doing really good. I know it probably pains the news people to broadcast that, but I've been pretty excited.
I saw today that the Washington Post has decided not to endorse a candidate for president.
The LA Times.
Oh, really?
He's doing the same.
Yeah.
What you say is out there? What'd you say, Tom?
Well, the LA Times and the Washington Post have decided not to endorse any candidate. That's unheard of.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I guess. Why do you think that is exactly?
If they talk
Curious to see.
If they talk too much about Trump, then he gets popular. If they talk too little about Trump, then he gets popular. So
they're like, let's not talk about him at all. That makes a lot of sense, yeah. But I think it's God's plan. So no matter what's going to happen, that day, what was it? Was it July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Whenever God spared his life, I think that was a big sign, not only to our country but the whole world of what his plan is. He's got big, wonderful plans for him. So I'm excited to see all those fulfilled.
Well, that's fantastic that you're going to get a chance to vote. That's so important. And there's been a lot of work being done in Pennsylvania too, a real lot of work. So,
yeah.
You know.
And I think I shared with you the one day that my aunt, she was a Biden supporter. And before, they even decided that Biden wasn't going to run, she was like, hey, I'm voting for Trump. I've changed it. I don't like what I've seen the last 4 years. We really need a big difference, and I believe, he's going to be the one to bring the difference. And then whenever Kamala came, she's like, yep, I don't see anything different happening. It's been the same administration. You're not fooling me. So she's still voting Trump, and she's a longtime Democrat. So that's like a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And the very basic thing is if you've got, for anybody who doesn't follow politics or history even, maybe they haven't been around long enough to see it, but if they've seen the 4 years that Trump had and they've seen the 3.5 years that Kalama had.
Kalama, you got it right, Kalama.
Mickey from the DC's been calling her Kamala. But you were saying, I'm sorry.
Well, it's right there. The record's right there in front of you. Just look at the price of gas or eggs or anything. That's the basic thing. That how's it affect the average person? And we're living in a really tough time. And I don't care how many times they try to gloss it over. It's just an awful economy. And
you're right.
Yeah. So
I remember the first time after Biden was in office, the stickers on the gas pump where he's pointing and his eyebrows are raised, and he's like, I did that.
Right.
And it's pointing at the gas, the price of the gas in the pump, and I just thought that was hysterical when I seen that. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
But that's my Uncle Dave, the man that has taught me everything I know. I absolutely love him to death for sharing the knowledge that he shared with me. His brother-in-law is a helper of his. He carries his toolbox around for him and stuff. And he was sitting there asking him who he was going to vote for. And he said that he was going to vote for Biden again. And he was like, he asked him, why are you wanting to vote for him? And he's asking him about the things that he's seen and different stuff like that. Then my uncle was like shocked by his answers, and he goes, what rock have you been living under? Have you not seen the price of food, the price of fuel, the price of lumber, all the different wars, all the immigrants coming in, all the different people that's been dying of overdoses and all these drugs and gang-related things? He goes, what rock have you been living under? And I was just shocked for him to come out and say it, because he's like a really quiet man and he doesn't speak a whole lot, but whatever he speaks, it's really wise and important. You better listen. And for him just to jump out and say all that, like, what rock are you living under? I thought that to be hysterical.
Well, and that's the other thing is a lot of people just, keep their thoughts to themselves. I worked at a place that their rules were no politics and no religion in the lunchroom. And, that's just so anti-American if you think about it,
Amen to that. Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah. So, well, we talked about things we wanted to anyway, but.
They can't keep a good man down.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they can't keep a good lot of men down like you and everybody else that's in the DC Gulag and everywhere else. And I'm happy to say we've been spending some time with some guys that have gotten out, and they're carrying the message loud and clear. So, you guys are going to get through this, and I tell you what, America's going to wake up to what they did to you all. I mean, they're waking up now, but they're going to hear the whole unvarnished truth when you guys get out on the circuit, whatever you want to do, whatever you choose to do. And I think it's just going to be amazing, because people are going to say, wow, our government could actually do something like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And what's beautiful is I know that this has been a lot of suffering, a lot of things bad have happened and whatnot. But this is going to be a part of the healing process. This is what's going to continue to make us a great country. This is where we're going to learn from everything. We're going to grow from it, become better, and we're going to start. Look at all the young people now that are starting to get involved in politics because of different social media and the ease of access to information. Just with the new times that are coming, you know, people are becoming desensitized, but there's also a lot of good people getting involved, being aware, and I know this, everything that we're all going through sucks right now, but you know, there's a lot better things at the end of this road.
That's a great point about young people getting engaged, because when you think about it, how many, my kids are at that mid to late 20 range, and you know, a lot of kids, especially if they got college debt and everything else, are not able to find good jobs and are living in their parents' basements because they can't do anything else. And that's not the American dream. They can't afford to buy a home. Mortgage rates are so high. Rent is so high. Yeah, that's only so long can people take that, and then they start to get interested in what the heck is driving it. So I think that's a great point you made.
Yep, and now all of us get more involved, realizing what's going on, waking up. That's whenever we're going to start to see great things that this country was known for having and becoming. You know, all those things. You know, it's what is it? I can't remember all of the easy times. You know, make weak men, and then hard times make strong men. But in a necessity, if you think of it just like this, nothing good comes easy. So everything that we're going through right now is going to make us all better and stronger, wiser, more involved. And I don't know, I try to be positive about all of it, because all for a reason. I don't know what the reasons are, how everything's going to play out, but I've been learning and making it more of a habit to just, you know, it's going to be in God's hands. We'll do what we can. We'll let Him guide us and be involved in different things that He pushes us to be involved in. But it's, I don't know, I'm just excited for it, and it's coming, and we're going to find out soon. It feels like a small eternity, but it's only a couple weeks.
I know. I know, it's 11 days, right? 12 days, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. And so maybe you can help me get this straight. I see on my calendar, it said election day is on the 20th. What's going on? What's the difference between the 5th and the 20th? Is the 5th just the starting of most states? Like, is that when everything's going to get counted, and then they have to make a decision by the 20th? How's it working?
So I haven't heard this date on the 20th. The 5th is election day, but a lot of people have said it's going to take days, you know, afterwards to finish up the counting.
To finish trying to cheat.
So I don't know. I think that's people prepping to say, look, we're not going to know. And typically it's the swing states that are the ones that are saying that, right? So
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should know like before the 20th, within a week or so.
I think on the 5th we're going to know if it's really the blowout red wave that we're thinking it was, and if there is a lot of cheating, and if suddenly they stop counting for whatever reason and resume later, then you know that there's problems again. I mean, we watched this movie last time. Most of us did. A lot of us did.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You know,
you have 1 minute remaining.
Well, it might be confusing January 20th.
I don't know, but yeah, it's your minute. You got a minute left, Josh.
Well, I'm just glad to hear from you. I enjoy talking with you, Tom. Honestly, Shirley is. I'm sure she's there.
Sure.
I'm gonna tell her I said that I appreciate her letters.
Hey, Josh. It's
Hey,
Cheryl.
how's it going?
Good.
Cheryl.
I sent you something recently. I hope you got it.
Yes, I think I did, where I had the jokes, and I enjoy the joke where the red skeleton jokes, the marriage jokes, where I always hold my wife's hand, and when I let go, she goes shopping. I thought that was really fun. There was a bunch of. I called Brittany and I told her, I read her the whole letter whenever I got it. I really enjoyed it. But I love you guys. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Keep up the good work and all your heart.
Thank you for using Global Telling.
Nice to talk to you too.
All right, Josh Atwood. Do you want to give his give, send, go or anything? Do you have that handy?
It's Josh Atwood. His number is 389-632. Go on Give Send Go. Joshua Lee Atwood.
Thank you.
And Carol went to the hospital.
She went to the hospital.
She's got pains in her chest.
Oh, no. Wow. She said she wasn't feeling. Checked her out first. Wow. I forget. You can't speak to these guys, right?
As long as I'm not associated in person with criminal.
You could talk to Howard.
So it's okay for me to tell them what they're doing?
Yeah. That's like stuff like that. I think like he's
Like last week, you were talking to
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
but you can't talk directly to them.
Exactly. I kind of drilled down with my guy about that to see what it was like. That he was kind of just associating with criminals during criminal activity, like going to. Whereas I think Trent is more strict. My guy.
Well, just like when Brandon Fellows talks in DC, he can talk to the public, but he can't talk to somebody that's online.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give you the microphone for a second. You can take that one if you want to. But introduce yourself and say hello.
Hey, this is John Mellis, released from prison a few weeks ago, September 30th, and been kind of running around the state, at least this half of the state that I'm allowed to go to, kind of being involved as much as I can. I actually stayed overnight in Spotsylvania the other night when we were down there at the God and Country meeting, and I went to the polls with the married couple that I stayed with. So the husband brought me there. I followed him in my car to the polls, helped set up, and then hung out there. And he ended up leaving, and I hung out with the fellas that I met. They were pretty cool. So we were handing out sample ballots and all that stuff.
Great.
Yeah. And then his wife Lori came up later and brought, she baked blueberry muffins and stuff, and it was really nice. Lori, you're amazing. And so I did that. Yeah, it was fun spending the day at the polls, kind of talking to voters. That was pretty cool. I think I might do a little bit more of that. I've actually got some creative ideas I don't want to divulge in here because I think it'd be fun to maybe get some footage and have some fun times with it. But.
Well, John joined us at a talk that we gave to a church group on Tuesday night, and it was very well received. You did an excellent job. They were captivated by your story. And as you said, normally your talk is an hour, and you tried to get it down to 15, 20 minutes, I think. So, but
I still blew through that though.
Yeah,
it's really hard to get it down in 20 minutes.
No, it's good though. They really appreciated it. I got a lot of positive feedback from them afterwards. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping to get the message out. I've been speaking to a lot of different conservative clubs and groups, whether it's Williamsburg or Newport News, Gloucester, York County, or where we were at in Spotsylvania. But the William and Mary, that's the most interesting one, and I'm in touch with them, and hopefully we'll have some creative ideas and some content we'll be able to provide for the internet. Because what makes it so important is that it's liberals, and they're not liberals; they're the college Republicans. But there's a lot of liberals at William and Mary, so I'm really interested in getting in front of some liberals. I have a couple of offers to speak at a couple of churches that have a lot of liberal people in those churches, and would be nice to be able to, let them know what's been going on. And what they don't know about, what they don't hear about, what's actually been happening to American citizens in America. One of the things that amazes me throughout this entire situation, one of the periods of time that really just amazed me in a bad way was, the fact that the mainstream media was blowing their top, talking about this one Russian guy, Alexei Navalny, who's a great guy, but Putin had arrested him and put him on solitary confinement with no visitation. And if you know anything about the DC jail, we were on solitary confinement with no visitation and a lot of worse conditions also, the guards were abusive and the jail conditions were terrible. So when the media was just blowing up about this guy and one guy in Russia on solitary confinement with no visitation, the irony was not lost on us that they were totally ignoring, scores of us that were sitting on solitary confinement with no visitation in this country. So
The things that our media won't report on.
yeah, the omission is worse than the lies sometimes.
It is, absolutely. It amazes me the system itself enhances the sentence, and that's the part that really kind of gets under my skin, is that the whole purpose of the sentence is not to cause physical pain, mental anguish. It's to deprive one of his liberty for a period of time. And nothing more. These enhancements that are imposed by the bureaucracy have to go.
It's crazy. A lot of times, so if the audience isn't aware, you get charged with charges. And first we get sandbagged with a bunch of felonies and a bunch of misdemeanors, and they charge us every which way to Sunday with everything possible. And the difference between the BLM rioters would get a misdemeanor. So a guy who stormed the White House smacked an officer in the face with a skateboard, and he got a misdemeanor assault on an officer, which ended up getting dismissed anyway. He spent a few hours in jail, got out. They dismissed his charge eventually anyway, never had to do a day in court. But go to us, and a guy who shakes a barrier like Sean McHugh shook the barrier, and because there was an officer with his hand on that barrier, it's a felony assault on an officer with a dangerous or deadly weapon, which is insane. So they stack all these charges, and then when you get sentenced, you're not getting sentenced necessarily to the charges, you get sentenced to the points. So each charge carries a certain amount of points, and then there's these enhancements that can go on. And like you said, that these enhancements exceed the amount of points that the actual charge carried. So more than 50% of the points that you're getting is just from enhancements. Like if you wore a helmet, a bicycle, a helmet or a vest for protection, because Antifa and BLM routinely throw bricks and rocks into Trump crowds, peaceful Trump crowds. So people wear protective gear, but if you were at January 6th, that's an enhancement.
One of the things I noticed, John, going to the sentencing, it's this dance that occurs. You go in, and it's just, there's a little bit of back and forth, anything to add, any objections, whatever, and then they go through this 30-minute dance around the enhancements and the points, and I'm sitting there trying to jot things down, and I'm realizing this is just a show, right? I mean, they know what the outcome is. They know what what the sentence they want to be, but they're going to go through this mathematical exercise to somehow show that they're fair and just, all right? What purposes does it serve?
Yeah, it fair and just compared to what, It's like they give you these crazy enhancements, so you then get guidelines, but the guidelines are so extravagantly high, it doesn't make any sense. If you're not charging everybody the same way on both sides of the aisle, then what do these enhancements even mean? What do these charges even mean?
Well, yeah, and so far, we're talking about paper enhancements, but then once you're actually in the facility that you get sent to, there's that bureaucracy that gets to play games with you like cat and mouse. They create scenarios that you can't escape. They get you thrown in the shoe. They may say you need to go on a nationwide tour for some diesel therapy, and they get away with it. It's not reported. Nobody, those of us on the outside, if we hadn't known about what was going on with you guys, we'd have never known. And I got to tell you, I'm lit, because this is a huge violation of the principles of what it means to actually be America. And it pisses me off that they can play games. They can have guards beating your head against the wall. They can contaminate the food, deprive you of medical treatment. That wasn't part of the sentence.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then there's the other things that bother me, which is like the Buffalo guy. So the media gave the Buffalo, what's his name? QAnon shaman, Jake Chansley. The media gives him all this attention, even though he was escorted around the building by Capitol Police, unlocked doors and everything by the Capitol Police, escorted to where he was going, goes up on the dais, takes his buffalo helmet off, and says a prayer and then they leave. That's all that happened in that. But they give him so much press that when he goes to sentencing, they say, well, because you're so high profile, we gotta hit you hard. And it's like, well, he didn't decide to be high profile. He just went to a rally with his shirt off and paint on his face and a buffalo ears, and the Capitol Police escorted him around the building. He didn't choose, escorted
He
him.
was following the people of authority.
Yeah.
Wearing the uniform.
Literally.
Yeah.
They never said you gotta go. They said follow.
I want to get back to Desiree real quick, so let me call her back real quick, let her finish. I feel awful about that.
And then we'll get another call. Sorry.
I know.
Hi.
Hey, I'm so sorry to do that to you twice. I won't do it a third time, maybe.
It's okay. I've been sitting here watching. Hi, Melis. How are you?
Hey.
I was listening to what you're saying about that. Awesome. The sentencing, and Barry's appeal was today, and so it's like I was reliving like the whole thing again, and they're just going back and forth with the oral arguments. They didn't do it like they did at the sentencing, but yeah, to your point, it's like almost like a whole nother trial. They're just putting everything back on the table, even things that were dropped. That's what happened, at the trial for Barry. The dangerous deadly weapon charge was dropped, and then they enhanced it at the sentencing. And so, I'm still waiting for an answer back at from the lawyer to find out what the end of it was, because at the end they're like, it will be submitted. I'm like, I don't submit it for what? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, so tell us again, back to helping Barry out. So I did fill out that I went on to the link. Yeah, and I did a little happy birthday thing to him, so that's easy, and you can donate if you want or not, but you made it so easy for people. So again, they should go and find that where on your X page?
Oh yeah, well on the X page was all the stuff I was talking about, like Cowboy Logic and Strand and all that. I made it a special page for tonight. It's ospreysensei.com/birthday. And that just leads you right to the Gateway Pundit, article, so you don't have to go searching Gateway Pundit for the exact terminology and all of that. And so it'll take you right through there, and then it leads you to where you can put a post on my website that comes back to me through email that is a prayer, a message, something to Barry for his birthday. And then, of course, yes, there's an option for donations too. So it's all there, and I'm super excited about it. And I just cannot wait to bring this to him tomorrow. And I gotta tell you, like, as lit up as I am, a lot of it has to do with what people said in their messages, how they view Barry as a hero and how he's standing in this front line, and all the J6ers, and I hear how they're praying for all the J6ers and people that are doing things and advocating in their communities. And it's just, it feels like such strength in community. And this has happened a couple of times. It's something that's so invigorating. It feels like, I know Barry, he's in there. He's got his own level of disconnection and lost, and I've got my own disconnection and loss. And so for it to like really fill me up, I can't wait to have it fill him up.
Is he, I might have missed this, is he in there? Is there any other J6ers in the facility he's in?
Somebody just showed up last week. I see you talking. What are you saying?
Oh, there's probably a delay, so don't worry about that. But,
oh,
yeah, there's
sorry.
a 2-second delay, so you go ahead.
Yes, so there's a gentleman that just showed up. I looked him up for Barry, but I cannot remember his name right now. And he's about, I think, 50-something years old. And of course, Barry in custom form, went to go make sure that he's got everything taken care of, and he knows, like all of the ways that he can be supported, and, really just make sure that he knows the people to talk to kind of tell him the landscape there, and make sure he's taken care of,
Well, that's great. That's great. Well, yeah, so when do you see him tomorrow?
I don't see him.
Oh.
I talk to him tomorrow, but I do see him on Sunday. So yeah, I'll be there with his mom on Sunday, and so we'll get to, hopefully I'll have an answer back from the lawyer on that appeal, so I'll just kind of have an idea. I know they don't have like an answer at the end of the appeal, but like I just want to know, what does that "it was submitted" comment mean? And then I get to go into even longer conversations about all of these amazing messages.
That's great.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's just been such a energetic week for me, and I just can't wait to see him, obviously on Sunday, but also to talk to him. And you're gonna call me about 10 minutes from now, anyways. But that's a surprise for tomorrow.
That's right. I just looked up the other person in Florida. It's Brian Bishop.
Brian
with a Y, Bryan Bishop.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to need that appeal, you know that, right? Because we're getting them out on January 20th.
I am praying on that every day. And a lot of other people are too, and a lot of that support came through in the messages as well.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, that he shouldn't be there, and second of all, you know, the pardons and Trump and all of that. And so, yeah, there's a lot of hope, and you know, I have to put my faith in what God's will is, because it's been that kind of a journey to wake up my eyes to know that I just need to follow that.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry that it's his 3rd birthday in there, but you've done such a wonderful thing for him. I think it's going to be one of his best birthdays ever, you know, so far. And just, I'm so happy that he's got you to be there for him. So
He's a lucky man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for making this a point to talk to everybody about today, because I want those messages to keep coming in, and so I can just continue to relay them to them. I know it can take me a couple of days actually to do it, but that's going to be even better, you know, like it's the support that you guys have been. I told him that I was calling in that you know today, and he was super excited. Didn't know about what, but I told him I was calling, and he was like, you know, saying how amazing it is and the support he's had from you guys, and I could just hear it in his voice, that heart of his, just when he talks about you guys.
No, that's great. Well, cool. All right, well, I think we better clear the line so I don't have to cut you off again. And
okay.
But thanks so much for sharing, and give our love and all our prayers and wishes to Barry, okay?
I will.
Tell him I love
Thank
him,
you so
man.
much.
Tell him I love him, man.
I will. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Talk to you guys.
God
Have a
bless
great
you.
night.
Bye.
God bless you. Bye.
Awesome. All right, in case we get another call here quickly, I wanted to give an update from the NPR website. I always talk about that. If you just put in your search engine NPR J6, you get a database that is updated every Friday evening. And what I like about it is it gives you the names of people who were arrested in the previous week. There are 10 new people in the previous week, so we're ticking up again, folks. We're over. Okay, you've looked at it now already?
I got it up.
You got it up there? Okay. Can you look at the 5th one? Maybe his name is
Jeremy Michael.
maybe Voisin, Reynold Robert Voisin. Can you look at what at the source documents there? He's got some more serious charges. I was just curious about that, but. Anyway, most of these guys have the usual for knowingly entering or remaining, disorderly conduct, Capitol building or grounds, parading, demonstrating, or picketing, so on. So, Robert Bixby of California was arrested on October 24th. Is that yesterday? It is. In Bakersfield, California. John Everett Doling, 31 years old, from Rabun Gap, Georgia, was arrested October 17th. So I guess that was really last week, but they didn't didn't report it. From Gainesville, Georgia. He was arrested in Gainesville, Georgia. Rebecca Lopez Antonio was arrested in Tyler, Texas on October 21st. Juan Lopez Antonio was arrested on October 21st in Tyler, Texas. Jeremy Miller was arrested on October 22nd in Fort Myers, Florida. Jeffrey Newcomb was arrested October 22nd in Polk, Ohio. Zachary Perlman, arrested on October 24th in Naples. Reynold Robert Voisin was arrested October 24th in Plattsburgh, New York. Roger Voisin Jr. was arrested on October 24th. So they may be brothers, 47, 48 years old. And the last one new is Jamie Wright, was arrested October 23rd in Canton, Ohio. So anyway, just always want to give a shout out to those new people. So this, according to NPR, are 1,532 arrested so far.
So, it looks like the Wazine family, that might be brothers, based on the information that's presented here on the NPR website, they have several charges against them that are rooted in acts of violence, and apparently in separate locations. So outside of the building and inside of the building, they were committing allegedly violent acts.
Are you looking at the source documents or just reading the front page?
I'm first looking at the front page, but then when I open up the source documents, God, that's a long write.
That's a lot.
It is. It's quite a bit. But
Headline.
That's okay. I just thought maybe there was, it's at this point, most of the people that are getting arrested are having the four usual charges.
Right.
I think a couple of weeks ago there was somebody who allegedly brought a gun to the Capitol grounds. So I think I've only heard of 2 or 3 instances of anybody bringing a firearm to the Capitol. So I was surprised that they arrested somebody this late in the game for that. You would think they would have picked that up earlier.
But I'm not seeing a firearm mentioned here.
Not on any of these. That was a couple weeks ago.
Well, I'm looking at the voice of people.
Yeah. All right. Well,
It's
just crazy that we're, almost 4 years away from that thing? And jeez. Maybe we'll get it up to 1776 before January 20th.
well, statute of limitations for just about anything is going to run out on January 6th.
yeah, I mean, just look at the math. I mean, this is day 1388 and we're at 1532. So, it's certainly more than one a day over time. And we've heard the DOJ say right in that NPR website, they talk about 3,000 people they believe committed crimes on that day. And here's a little something, folks. How many people know about the bombing attack on the Capitol in 1983? Yeah, so that was, I don't even know if I put it in here.
And Susan Rosenberg was pardoned.
Yeah, right, so that's right. Okay. On March 1971, a bomb exploded in the Capitol building. While the explosion did not injure anyone, it caused $300,000 of damage. A group calling itself the Weather Underground claimed to be behind the bombing and said it was in protest of the ongoing U.S.-supported bombing of Laos. 13 years later, November 7th, 1983, a bomb tore through the second floor of the Senate wing. The device detonated late in the evening and no one was harmed, but it caused an estimated $250,000 of damage. A group calling itself the Armed Resistance Unit later claimed responsibility for the attack. You said her name, Susan something?
Susan Rosenberg.
Yeah, they don't list her name in this article, but...
She was pardoned by Bill Clinton.
Pardoned by Bill Clinton, yeah.
It's one of those things.
But this was a neat, I mean, but so first of all, the first one they list here, this is from the History Channel. You put in bombing of the Capitol and you get all this stuff. So fire damaged it during the War of 1812. There was the instance where the caning of Charles Sumner was in 1856. Preston pro-slavery Representative Preston Brooks beat anti-slavery Senator Charles Sumner nearly unconscious with a cane on the Senate floor. I actually learned about that in high school. But that's not it. And so people want to say that January 6th was the first time that anything like that had ever happened, and it's like
That's Democrat violence.
it really is. Yeah.
Pro-slavery, that was the Democrat
Yeah.
Party.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else you got? You got one or two.
I always bring some stuff. This is a completely unrelated.
This is completely unrelated, but everybody's heard of the third assassination attempt for the president, right? A gentleman named Vem Miller. Pretty much that's been debunked. And the sheriff, I don't remember his, Bianco, it sounds like he was looking maybe to get some publicity. Because there's really no basis for them claiming that, he never said anything, I was there to do anything. He did have guns in his car, but he declared them when he got there. So the thing that's really interesting to me, in addition to that, though, is that this gentleman's parents live in Nevada, I think, and they had their house surrounded by about 17 police officers, and they came to the door and were pounding on the windows, pounding on the door, saying, "We're here to do a welfare check." And the parents were smart enough to say, "There's no problem. Who called? We're not opening the door. We're scared." But they did this twice actually, and what's the purpose of that? What's the reason? So I think you need to look into that if you're interested, because it just shows you the level of Gestapo tactics that people take when somebody gets identified as somebody to go after. But anything's in play.
Well, it seems like they've been trying to dilute the assassination tips in general. I saw someone on mainstream media just flippantly, say something about, Republicans keep trying to kill Trump. So it's like they're trying to kind of muddy the waters or something when it comes to these. It's the left. It's definitely the left.
Yeah, I think so.
Keep calling the guy Hitler and people are going to try to kill him. And then this new guy, the Vem Miller one, is just another attempt to kind of he seems like a conservative. He seems like a MAGA guy, and they're just trying to, I guess, just latch him to the other two and say, oh yeah, they're all conservatives.
That's a good point, John.
They try to do that, but anybody with 2 brain cells or more can go, well, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. How can that possibly be?
The Trump supporters are trying to kill Trump. Yeah, that makes sense, man, if you don't think about it.
I'm good with that. I'm really good with that.
Yeah, his own supporters are trying to kill him now, apparently. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
And then, we had Mr. Kelly, General Kelly, claiming that, oh yeah, he knows for a fact that Trump was praising Hitler.
He never said anything about this until 2 weeks before the election.
Yeah, imagine that. He waited this long. He timed it perfectly. But of all people to come out in Trump's defense was Mike Pence, who said, "You got to be kidding me. You're out of your mind."
Oh.
Yeah, Mike Pence and his staff were like, no, that didn't happen. That never happened. And so there's a lot of crazy things going on out there right now. For example, did you know that Bill Gates is subject to criminal trial in the Netherlands?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's for the vaccines?
Yes, for the vaccines. Abuse of his power that he possesses by virtue of all of the assets he has deployable due to his wealth. This is the argument that's being made, and it actually is kind of sound. But speaking of court cases, there's another one that I found rather interesting. You probably didn't hear this on the mainstream media, but you know that guy Bill Maher?
Yeah.
He said that Laura Loomer had slept with Donald Trump, and because she didn't, she is suing him for $150 million for saying it on national TV. I thought that was rather interesting. Just saying, there's a lot of stuff going on there.
There's a lot of stuff. The Hitler comments, the memes I've seen of, I saw this one of an 86-year-old woman talking about something that happened back, and you know, it's just, there's all these things coming out all of a sudden in terms of inappropriate behaviors, Hitler and other types of things, but they all just are dying an instant death. You know why? Because of X and because of other social media where people are they're cutting right through it. It's really, really wonderful to see this. It's happening,
and it takes minutes to tear apart a false narrative. Speaking of false narratives, you know, I get fed up sometimes watching on social media, listening to videos while I'm doing something else. Always got some clown on the left claiming that, oh yeah, Biden created all these jobs, but they're all in red states.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
It's early. It must not.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse, your current balance is $52.59. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello,
Hey, Brian.
Brian. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm hanging in there, guys. I'm doing well. How's everybody Northern Neck doing today?
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. It was a nice fall day, and it's getting temperatures dropping.
The bonfire today?
Yeah, we're not doing the bonfire. We're back in the.
Got the marshmallows.
Yeah. So, but you know, it's all right. We're doing all right.
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry.
No, everybody's doing well as can be expected. Cautiously optimistic going into the election season. And, I'm a few weeks out from my sentencing, so responses to the government's sentencing stuff and the PSR and all that stuff. I gotta get that stuff in by next week.
What are your guidelines?
They put me at 25, what they're suggesting, like 47 to 61 months, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are you still November 15th?
I still am November 15th, as long as there's nothing super unexpected. You know, I'm fighting with the U.S. Attorney's Office to get their sentencing memo in time for me to be able to get it and read it and respond and put mine in. But as long as, you know what I mean, I'm not going to take all the time. That's a lot. As long as I got a week, as long as I get it in, you know, be 10 days before my sentencing, that'll give me a week to respond to it, and still give the judge a couple days to read it.
Gotcha. It's interesting that you called. I was just looking at your charging documents that I pulled down a couple weeks ago, and I brought them along because I wanted to read through it. But yeah, I don't know. Just
yeah, it's kind of crazy. So the real twist on it is that the guy that they so my major charge was a 111A, but it wasn't a 111A that I committed. It was a 111A to somebody. So they hit me under a conspiracy charge of aiding and abetting somebody else's attempted assault. So yeah, go ahead and chew on that one. So it's like further down in the 111A. Well, the guy that they convicted me of aiding and abetting in his attempted assault, they arrested him 28 days before the start of my trial. Meanwhile, I was arrested about almost 2 years before that. And that guy's name is Zachary Rash. He's the best friend of Ray Epps Jr. and rode there with Ray Epps and Ray Epps' son, Ray Epps Jr. to January 6th. And he was unnamed suspect number 2 for the entirety of my case. He was only arrested 28 days before the start of my trial, so they could convict me on aiding and abetting his attempted assault. And he took a plea deal. He took a plea deal down to a 111, and I knew they were not gonna, I knew he was gonna get a plea deal, and I knew that he was gonna be sent, they keep pushing his sentencing back into, his sentencing is 5 days after mine, so they're gonna sentence me. And mark my words, Tom, I hope you keep up with this, but they're gonna mollywop me in here, they're gonna smack me like they did everybody else. And then this guy's gonna get some sort of sweetheart deal, like Reyes did, like some sort of probation or whatever. On his actual 111, which he really, I mean, in all fairness, there's no way he could have attempted to assault the officers from where they said he did, because he was way too far away from the police to do an attempted assault. But either way, they've convicted me on aiding and abetting his attempted assault. Watch our justice system work. They're gonna whack me with aiding and abetting him on his attempted assault, and then his sentencing will be 5 days behind mine. And I have a feeling that it's going to be significantly less than whatever they give me for aiding and abetting his attempted assault.
Well, maybe you'll have a good birthday present and they'll drop all your charges.
Maybe. Boy, that would be a miracle. It'd be like the parting of the Red Sea. Or
Your birthday's 2 days before that, right?
yeah, my birthday is 2 days before that. Right? Yeah, my birthday's on the 13th.
We're thinking of
also. Yeah, also my youngest daughter, we have the same birthday, so my youngest daughter, Penelope, her birthday is also on the 13th.
Oh, that's cool.
It's my wife's birthday today, actually.
Oh, happy birthday.
My wife's name is Laura, and it's her birthday today. And then me and my daughter, Penelope's birthday is on the 13th, and then we'll go in there and listen to the U.S. Attorney's lie about me for about an hour and a half on the 15th, and then see what Judge Moss does, We will see.
Yeah.
Historically, the last time I ran this spreadsheet was before I went to jail, so it was like back in March of this year. I went through the Department of Justice's their little spreadsheet for like their January 6 cases, and just ran a computer algorithm on an Excel spreadsheet and had it pull out like what the government had asked for, so what the U.S. attorneys had requested, and then what was given out. And I did it for all the judges, and then I singled out just Judge Moss's, and it came out to be like 51% of what the government was asking for. I'm pretty sure the government's going to ask for over my guidelines, so we'll see where that lands. So
that's an interesting.
The top end.
That's an interesting exercise. Does it vary by judge, or are they pretty much in lockstep?
I didn't do every judge individually. I only did my judge, but then I did all of the cases. And you got to remember, there's some variables in there for like some of the cases that had days in there. So like if somebody had just had misdemeanors, those are typically doesn't equate to the same ones as like the years. So like the government will ask for like 180 days, and the judge will give 120 or something like that. So like those kind of throw the numbers off a little bit. But like all the judges together at the time, it was like 61%. Like it was still pretty close to half of what the government was asking for, but it was on the higher end. It's like 61-point-something%. And my judge was Randolph Moss was right at like 50, almost 51%. So like what the government had been asking for, which I don't know what the guidelines were for each one of those, because that's not inside that spreadsheet, but just based on what the information I did have, so what the government was asking for, they've been at about 50% of it. But he also was out on the news recently on national news. My judge was saying that his biggest fear was a repeat of January 6th, which I thought was surprising, for a judge that was ruling on these cases to be on national news saying that.
What program was it?
That's illegal.
A news.
Yeah.
Maurice is going to get a lawsuit here.
What's that?
Maurice says that's illegal, so he's going to file a lawsuit, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I wonder also the comparison with, the probation officer or whatever that sits in the courtroom as well. Usually
Am I right, John?
Yeah, there's like recommendation from probation.
Yeah.
Like some kind of.
That's what I was saying. That's the information I did have is so the probation is the one that puts together that PSR report that determines what they suggest your guidelines should be. They calculate the guidelines and make a suggestion to the judge of what they kind of put they put some other, they put a metrics in there, you know what I mean? There's been X amount of cases in this point guidelines, and this was the median amount of time that those people received, and these are mitigating factors, and whatever. So the judge reads through this report and makes their decision. But that's what I don't have is those numbers are not included in the Department of Justice's website of what the suggestion from probation was. But with the information I had, so that's kind of where I've kind of set my expectation. But if I run that through and assume that the government's going to ask for outside of my guidelines, ask for more enhancements, and they pretty much do on everybody, and puts me, somewhere 70, 80 months, and then divide that in half at 51%. You know what I mean? I'm kind of preparing myself for a 40-month, 4-year sort of deal or whatever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the first to receive something like that in the courtroom, even for something like aiding and abetting somebody else's attempted assault. But they've got crazy stuff in there that I'm trying to do research here, with the legal tablets and, as much as I can with the legal books that we have inside here about, they've got an official victim on me, you know what I mean, which is like a 6-point enhancement. I'm trying to figure out where they get to that, you know what I mean? They don't really explain in the PSR, but there wasn't even an assault that took place that I was convicted. It was aiding and abetting somebody else's attempted assault. So if nobody was assaulted, I don't really know how there's an official victim on that. Because that 6 points is huge. I mean, that brings it from 18 months to 60 months, essentially.
Well, it's
maybe
like
24 months.
Talking to James Grant the other day about, his assault, pushing a fence, and nobody was injured, right? So how is that an assault, right?
Sure. Exactly. Not just an assault with a deadly weapon. The fence is considered a dangerous and deadly weapon.
Yeah, I was there when they brought the deadly weapons into the courtroom, the bike racks. It just blew my mind.
Did they really bring the bike
racks? Yeah, there was a lot of questions about, well, how heavy do you think that bike rack is? And people were like, I don't know, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, 30 pounds. And nobody knew. They're heavy. But when they're hooked together, they're really heavy. And it was just this bizarre line of questioning about, about this deadly weapon, the bike rack deadly weapon.
So the Hulk was put on trial.
Jeez.
Yeah.
A pen is a deadly weapon. That's even worse than a bike rack.
What they've determined to be assaults, the way that I believe, it's my belief that I don't really like the way that our legal system was set up or the way that our codes or statutes are written to begin with, but then I think they've taken it for this to a whole nother level with assault, how they've charged people with these 111 A's and B's and then aggravated on top of that, you know what I mean? So that's where they did a 4-point enhancement on me, taking it from an assault to an aggravated assault, again, for this dangerous or deadly weapon enhancement that they've got on people. They do it with that, and they also do it. They say that so if you were charged with any other crime, there's this statute inside the 111, like if it was in the commission of another crime, you can make it an aggravated assault. But again, like the person that I was convicted of aiding and abetting didn't even get convicted on assault. He got convicted on attempted assault. So I don't know how you have an aggravated attempted assault. Just by definition, it kind of seems like an oxymoron. But
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
My head hurts just trying to explain it.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where they're coming from. I think they just kind of make this stuff up as they go. However they can screw people the words, that's the definition they're going to go with, and everybody just kind of gets in line and this is where it follows, dude.
Well, if the goal is to maximize the punishment or the duration here, just like with the 1512C2, that was a charge that didn't belong there at all, but they got it because it carried 20 years, right? And that was the goal here. So no matter how you piece it together, that's what they're doing.
That's exactly what they're doing, and I think that's their goal from, you know what I mean, no matter really what you get convicted of, like they're gonna manipulate this and add enhancements and get you to where you're looking at a lot of time. You know what I mean? Like they just want to put people away, and you know, make an example out of it. I think it's
You have 1 minute remaining.
I know it's affected my family a lot. It's affecting me now, but I just stay cautiously optimistic that this will be over soon. You know what I mean? Either way, I'm going to be fine, and I know my family's going to be taken care of. But I really do hope this is coming to an end here in the near future.
Yeah, we hope so too. And it's pretty exciting in the next couple of weeks to see what happens with the election. I feel pretty strongly that Trump's going to come out on top. So it's we got to get people out to vote out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for having me on. Laura, I love you. Happy birthday, sweetie. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
God bless you.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Those enhancements, that's the thing. It's terrible. And the 1512C2, he said he had, you get 25 points for the, that. And then you get there's an assault on an officer with a dangerous or deadly weapon, aggravated, and you get 25, you end up getting 25 points for that. Only half of that is the actual points for the charge. The rest of it's enhancements. But for some reason, the 1512 and the aggravated assault on an officer with a dangerous or deadly weapon carried the same points the way they did the enhancements. You'd still end up with 25 points. It's weird, because you would think that in a typical world, an aggravated assault on an officer with a dangerous or deadly weapon, a real name charge, I don't know, you would think that would carry more weight than that 1512, but actually the 1512 ends up carrying just as much weight as it's crazy how they did this. It was really weird. And that was the one they were trying to get everybody to plea out to, that they would drop the other ones and give you the 1512. Well, that's a lot of points.
Yeah, right, and a lot of years.
Yeah, it was an obstruction of Congress, but it was with witness tampering and evidence tampering. It was corporate crime after Enron.
It was a huge corporate crime that was targeted at, and the context is way out of whack with a bunch of Americans on Capitol grounds.
Right. Yeah,
way out of whack.
But it carries a lot of points for sentencing, and that's what they want.
It does, and I think the real crime of January 6th is that our justice system was allowed to pervert their jobs in such a way that they actually committed a more heinous crime than anybody that was there that day. Anybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. It's weird just hearing him talk about it, because I remember that whole world. You're sitting in there and you're counting your points and you're looking at the charges, and you're just like, there's really nothing he can do. There's really nothing you can do. I mean, you can pay a bunch of money for a lawyer and try to argue something, but you're going to lose. And
you're going to lose because their dice are loaded. Yeah. They've got loaded dice. You can't win.
I remember how hopeless, the feeling is of where he's at right now. He's waiting for his sentencing. He's looking at how the different judges sentence, hoping that his judge is better, or looking at any glimmer of hope or light, or what can, and it's crazy, because what is he really looking at? Was aiding and abetting an attempted assault, and then they gave him aggravating factors for enhancements. What is this? What are we even talking about? You aided and abetted another guy attempting an assault, and he hasn't been convicted of that.
Right. So what did you aid?
You're getting aggravated factors for a guy that didn't even get convicted of the assault.
I'll get freaking heartburn just thinking about it.
I wanted to tell him, all of our puzzled faces are on while he's explaining this, this jujitsu logic of and it's a felony what he's looking at. It's not a misdemeanor. We had a guy an older gentleman got sprayed in the face and stumbled into an officer, and he got a felony assault on an officer. And it's like, this guy's like in his 60s. He got sprayed, maced. He stumbled into the officer, and he's getting a felony assault on an officer. There is a such thing as misdemeanor assault on an officer. Just let everybody know. If you stumble into an officer, I mean, it doesn't seem like a felony kind of thing. Or if you, I don't know. They just went max retard on us.
You know, you've heard and seen people make the claim, you can't make this stuff up, you can't make this stuff up. Well, apparently you can, because that's what they're doing. They're making it up, and they're making it stick. You know, Tom brought some statistics in here about 7 or 8 months ago, showing the rate of conviction was nearly 100%. In a town that at its best can get 61% conviction rate. So you just gotta wonder, all of a sudden, we've got these ho-hum government employee prosecutors. When I say government employee, I'm trying to imply a degree of competence that isn't there. And suddenly they go from a 61, and for those of you that went to school in the old days, that's a D. They go from a 61 to an A+ with extra credit. They're getting 100% convictions, and you can't tell me that crap isn't scripted. I know for a fact it's scripted. So, respect, I got none for them.
Especially if you're a Democrat and do something in DC similar to anything you saw on January 6th, they drop your charges. They dismiss them. So then the statistics are stacked, because then the FBI reports, well, right-wing, violence. It's like, yeah, because you prosecuted over 1,500 J6ers, but you never prosecuted any of the Democrats that did stuff, but they did like 1,000 more times stuff, but you dismissed all their charges.
They killed people.
Yeah, but you dismissed their charges, so there's 0. And then there's 1,500 and something on the right-wing side, but that's like the only time in modern history that we've ever had any dust up in any sort of way where the Democrats routinely burn things down and
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Throw bricks at cops and stuff. They yell, F the police. I didn't hear that at all that day, F the police. I never heard, ACAB, all cops are bastards. That's what they say. They paint it on their building. They do all that. We don't do that. No. We never do that.
And we don't do it in our own neighborhoods either.
Oh, goodness.
A friend of mine who reads the Washington Post, I don't, sent me an article this morning that apparently there's a new monument on the mall, a new statue on the mall. It's a bronze of Nancy Pelosi's desk, and there is a pile of doo-doo on top of it.
Yes.
And it's got a plaque on there that basically is derogatory, and it claims to be as if it's from maybe some of the insurrectionists that went in there, but it just, anyway.
It's actually kind of a cool
Hello,
monument.
this is a prepaid call from
History.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up. Your current balance is $50.87. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, who we got?
Man, we got Jonathan Pollock and Hutchinson.
All right. Hey, guys. Hey.
Woohoo! What's up?
Hey, we're having a good evening. Can I say your name again?
Awesome.
I mean, you can say it.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
Do y'all have any, speaking of having a wonderful evening, do y'all have any good snacks there?
Not tonight. We did last
Oh, no! No snacks at the LA Vigil? Dang.
You know, sometimes...
Northern Neck. I'm sorry. This, yeah, my
Well, it
bad.
could be in LA, but
my bad. Yeah. Oh, man. Golly, that's terrible.
I think our
Oh, yeah.
snacks went to LA, that's the problem. We would have been all right.
I was confused. I'm sorry. I know that's a smack. Wow, the amount of disrespect I get. That's terrible. He just compared me to Joe Biden. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, you know, here in the DC jail, we've been taking it easy, you know, living each day as it comes, one day at a time. You already know, we actually just ate dinner, which was pretty good snacks. So I was just wondering if y'all actually had snacks as well, because then it's almost like we're eating snacks together.
Well, maybe next week we'll bring some and we could do that.
Nice. That's always good. Yeah. Wow. Isn't that some break bread together?
That
in
sounds
different
good.
places.
That-
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. But not too much has been going on here. Pretty much the same. How about y'all? Y'all been taking it easy, staying busy.
Hey,
Nothing going on.
we've been getting out. We've been getting the word out. I've been pretty busy the last week or so. We had a gun and knife show out here in Warsaw, and we had a table. The Northern Neck Patriots had a table. We got to meet some real nice people. Had Cheryl put together a really nice poster board with stories on there, pictures of you guys and all that kind of stuff, and that gets a lot of people's attention. That was the weekend prior. We went to there was a Republican fundraiser out here. We had Governor Youngkin and a guy for Senate, Hung Kao is his name, and also our local representative showed up. A lot of people there, and a lot of people came by, were really, really interested. They were just glued to into that poster board that she had made together. So,
that's awesome.
We also had our 2-year anniversary last week, and we had the poster there, and everybody liked it.
Oh yeah, man, that's cool.
That's
yeah.
2 weeks ago already.
2 weeks ago, time flies.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago already. Yeah.
Dang it. Yeah. If only we could fly like time does.
Yeah,
This
but
would be out of yeah, no, that's awesome. My brother, he actually owns a gun store in Florida, and we would go to the gun and knife shows quite a bit. And you know, there's a lot of traffic. A lot of traffic goes through those places, so that's neat that they were able to see. Because I feel like when stuff like this goes on, being that 4 years almost since January 6th, people tend to forget, and being able to see the pictures of people and being able to see people are still speaking out, it's a good reminder.
It is.
I like that. Thank y'all.
And we're joined with a gentleman named John Mellis here who went through the same ordeal as you did, and he just was released about 3 weeks ago. And he's been making the circuit, talking everywhere he can. He joined me on Tuesday night with a church group up there. It was a fantastic evening. They were so enraptured by what he and others had to say. James Grant called in to talk to us, and so we've been busy, and that's having an impact. And every time one of you guys gets out and can get out and get active and get in front of people, they want to hear the story.
That's it. No, that's good. That's awesome. Because like you say, a lot of people kind of want to hear what goes on from actual people that's been through it, been through the system, and not just taking it from what the news say, because you hear their rhetoric so much, especially when it was a very popular subject. Is we're all just a bunch of wild, crazy people. And then when you actually meet those people.
You there? Did we lose you?
Phone's still here. It might be on his end. He could be that their battery died or something. The phone is still connected.
Well, we're waiting and listening.
It's the feds.
No, you know when that it's either just click. Thank you for using Secure Tel.
Global Tel Link.
Global Tel Link. Yeah, it's still on.
Yeah.
So their sentencing is set for January 27th, and that's after they plan on releasing them.
The other guy's sentencing was the 15th, correct?
Of November.
Of November, but he'll know if we won the election,
That's
so maybe
right.
he could just go in there and kind of just say what he wants to say.
Yeah. But this is January 27th, and they're gonna,
Thank you for using Global Telling.
okay. Did we say something wrong?
No.
I don't think so. I think it may, like I said, may have been their end, battery died or something.
Yeah.
Because usually if they're gonna cut it off, they cut it off right now.
Yeah, they just hit the button, it's gone.
And they do monitor, and we know that.
So, yeah.
So where were we?
No, but so if you get sentenced on November 15th, can they hear if I'm not talking into this?
Yeah.
Probably, but it's better if you're talking to that.
Yeah, so the one guy gets sentenced on the 15th of November, and it's kind of unique. It's kind of weird because the election is on the 5th, and then if, when we win, it's going to be a different vibe he's walking into his sentencing for, so he might feel more free to speak his mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, somebody online points out that 87 days is an awful lot of time for somebody to continue messing with the system. We can win the election, but we don't get to put our hands on the steering wheel until January 20th.
And with Jamie Raskin, did you see that? Where he just straight up said they're not going to certify it. If Trump wins, they're not going to certify it, and they're going to have to, someone's going to have to tell the raving Trump mobs that, he's disqualified, and we're going to have bodyguards for all. He's talking about the Congress people, and that there's going to be...
the senator from Maryland, that says it all.
Yeah.
I worry about that guy because, I'm 63 years old. I've been on this planet for a while, and I've seen some rednecks that won't tolerate that kind of attitude. And I'm fairly certain that these same rednecks will be smart enough to figure out where that boy lives.
Well,
for cupcakes and stuff.
Yeah, for cupcakes.
Pizza deliveries.
Yeah. So I saw him say that stuff, and I was like, you're just trying to pick a fight, right? That's all. You're just trying to pick a fight.
Well, they want to get us out of our box and to get us to do anything. We just keep our cool. We win the election. We keep our cool, even if they try to get in the way on January 6th, because we just keep our cool. We just keep our cool. We're going to win, and we're going to be all right.
So, you're right. Donald Trump, the whole time, has been a by-the-book guy. Everything strictly by the book. You may walk up to the edge of the page, but you don't get to step off the page.
Well, Nicole Reffitt said this, I don't know, months ago at one of the DC vigils. If that happens, we are going to see the largest peaceful sit-in in U.S. history. And she reminded us of World War I when the veterans weren't getting paid, and they went and they sat down and they had to be forcibly removed, but they got at the end of the day they got what they wanted. But peaceful sit-ins, sit your ass down in the grass with an American flag, and that's it. We don't have to do anything else. We don't have to go and fall for this crap, a second time.
Honestly, on January 6th, when I was going into the city, I felt like everything was being stolen, from us, because we all did. We felt like, and we watched that election the night before in Georgia, the runoff, and it did the same thing, the same switch. And it's like, man, like, I travel with camping gear. I always do. And I spent New Year's in Nashville, and then I actually spent several days in the Daniel Boone National Forest on my way to DC for January 6th. So I have my camping gear, and I kind of thought of something like that, like, hey, what if we all just camp out, just bring our camping, what if we all just turn the National Mall into
a campground?
A campground, exactly, and just stay there until they listen to us. I mean, what are they going to do?
Figure out where you're going to buy your pizza from and just powwow for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm sure we'd be able to, if it was something like that, we we could turn the whole National Mall into a campground, and we'd have supplies. You know, we'd have, we got
There'd be
people.
plenty.
Yeah, sure. We'll be fine. So yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be so cool, and it would be so inspirational to the rest of the world and to everybody as well, to show them that, like, we weren't ready for them to provoke us last time, and for the cops to start firing, for the cops to fire into the crowd and start shooting flashbangs and kill 2 American citizens early on, Benjamin Phillips and Kevin Greason. They died early on, and we weren't ready for that. And so people reacted, and like a high percentage of J6ers are actually veterans, and these are the guys who are trained to defend people when they see stuff, I don't want to say which J6er, but he's a special forces. He's got multiple different. He's a Green Beret and a Ranger. He's really badass. He's got a very colorful way of speaking. And when he saw, and I don't want to say who it was, but he said when he saw what was going on, and he saw old women getting hit in the head with batons and sprayed, innocent people getting beat, it was just like his training kicked into gear, and it's just combat mode on. You know what I mean? Like, it's just his training. Another thing I wanted to point out before is, like, they use if you're a veteran or a firefighter or a cop, they use that against you in your sentencing, and they sentence you harsher, even though you had a life of service to this country. You get sentenced harsher because you should have known better. That's not how you sentence people. This guy had a great life where he sacrificed so much for this country, and they trained him and taught him to defend people.
I saw something a few months ago, and I didn't continue to follow it, but there was reports out there that if you're a veteran, you're on the terrorist list, or you're on somebody's watch list. Yeah. So, and the sad part is that I'm inclined to believe that, more because I've lost all trust in my government than I know anything about the facts. I just think that it's highly likely that they would do that, and I didn't do my research to find out if it's true. But that's what's out there, and somebody's utilizing the fact that we've totally lost trust.
Look what they did to Tulsi Gabbard and her husband. The day after they installed or anointed or appointed Kamala Harris, the next day, Tulsi Gabbard and her husband are getting on a plane, which they do all the time, several times a week, to travel and around the country, because that's what they do. And they had 4 S's on their boarding pass, which is special, like, you have to be there an hour earlier than normal, and you go through a special screening process all alone. The supervisors come down, U.S. Marshals are up your butt, following you, being on the plane with you. I mean, it's extra security for everyone who has 4 S's on their passport, and every J6er, from what I understand, is getting those 4 S's. So if you're a J6er and you want to travel on a plane, get there an extra hour early, because they're going to bring you aside separately. And it's going to take you they're going to go through every single article of clothing piece by piece. We spoke about it with Matthew Kroll. If you're aware, on the wearegoodmen.com, I was able to film a podcast inside the DC jail using the jail issue laptops we eventually were able to get. Matthew Kroll, we actually spoke about it with Edward Badalian, was my co-host. They both had that experience with the TSA. And it's just crazy. For what? For being at January 6th? Now you're a terrorist? But Tulsi Gabbard and her husband, and she was the one that took Kamala out of that primary 4 years ago. So I kind of think it's weird how Kamala goes in and the next day she's on a list. You know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely think that, I do believe it 100%. I have no trust in this federal government whatsoever, watching what they've done to me, watching what they did to Enrique Tarrio.
Yeah, and there's a few states that have it right, but there's a lot that have it wrong. I just worry because, like, you see things come out like just today, it's all over that Glenn Youngkin, our governor, somewhere between 1,500 and 1,600 illegal voters on the rolls. We're gonna get rid of them. Federal court says, no, you can't. You gotta leave them on there because it's less than 90 days before a major election. Wait a second. They're illegal voters. You're gonna give them the right to vote because you're more worried about the 90-day window before the election. Well, that seems like a conflict to me. That's something suitable for the Supreme Court.
Right, and that law's been on the books for what, 12 years, a long period of time, and nobody's ever bothered with it before. So the reason the DOJ is doing that is the DOJ realizes that if Trump gets in, when Trump gets in, the DOJ, just like other three-letter agencies, are going to start getting taken apart piece by piece.
Exactly. Piece by large and small piece.
When I got to federal prison earlier this year, the black inmates that I met love Trump. I'm telling you, they see the federal government, the DOJ, the FBI going after Trump in such a weaponized way and a politicized way, exactly how they went after Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and every single civil rights leader, Huey Newton, every single leader that they've had. They see it and they see what they're doing to Trump and they're like, yeah, Trump, Louis Farrakhan, who we may not agree with theologically, and he's the leader of the Nation of Islam, just came out and endorsed Trump.
Imagine that.
Because they see that the same system, that same corrupt, gross, disgusting system, federal system that's hurting them and holding the people down, especially black people, is the same system that's holding patriots down and Donald Trump down, or trying to, because they can't keep Trump down.
Apparently. To me, that's just amazing, and it's sufficiently awesome that a humble guy like myself can see it as nothing else short of God. Because what he's able to pull, in the last 3 days, the guy's visited 5 states and had 5 rallies. How do you do that? I mean, he's 20 years my senior. What's going on with this?
Yeah, I see him in one state, I turn on the TV and he's like at a rally talking. I'm like, oh, okay. And then a few hours later, I turn the TV on and he's still talking at a rally, and I'm like,
no, it's a different
one. It's a different rally. I'm like, in a different state. I'm like, what is going on?
Dude, you're in Arizona. No, wait a second. I just had dinner. You're in Las Vegas. What's up with this? It's crazy. I don't know how he can do it. And then there's the idiocy of somebody that's questioning a guy that can actually do that and pull it off, and they're saying he can't possibly be healthy. We want to see his medical records.
Did you see how he responded? He put her diagnoses. I can't even pronounce the things that she has. And he was putting large rash with bumps and it causes irritation. He was like, oh, she wants some. He's like, I don't have any of those problems.
Yeah, right.
She wants me to see my medical records. Well, I don't have any of those problems. Whatever she's got, that's her problem.
It's hilarious, some of the stuff that they're pulling in, and I don't. Either we don't understand the game that they're trying to play as much as we think we do, or they are flat out losing it.
Well, he is he's Teflon Don. He's every time they try to get him, the narrative is always a lie. That's why you were talking about these narratives. This John Kelly thing, this chick that just all of a sudden came out saying some weird stuff. These people just come out right before an election, and everyone sees, by now especially, everyone sees this has been happening. Whether it's the phone call with Ukraine that he released the transcript for. The perfect phone call that he got impeached over, and he released the transcript showing the world what he said. It's every single time it's a lie, and by now the American people are tired of it. I think he's going to win in a landslide. I really do.
Even with the cheating.
Even with the cheating, he's going to take all 50 states.
Maybe not California.
Maybe not.
Well, we don't want California.
I left California because California is crazy. I was born and raised out there, and it just didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense. I couldn't stand it, you know? People getting on their neighbors because their neighbor painted a picket fence white. Really? Really? Took them to court over that? That's just the way the people are. So that's a cultural problem. That's seriously a cultural problem because, you know, when you're walking around and you walk around and you bump elbows with people like in the grocery store and they got to say, oh, that's not politically correct. That's not good. Johnny got a D. No, there's no more D's in schools. C is the lowest score. Everybody passes. No child left behind. No child left behind means we get to send the money elsewhere because the actual education is no longer required.
And don't they have those state parks where you can't utilize them? Like they block you off and they don't even let you in. Like,
oh yeah,
I love to go utilize state parks, national parks, those kinds of things. They like block these areas off and you're not allowed in. It's like, well, then how do we enjoy it? Like, what's going on?
So you bring up something so back in the day in the 90s, I was like, please, Mr. Clinton, stay alive because if your vice president becomes president, we're in real trouble because that guy said he wanted to lock up all federal parks and the only way you could get into them is if you were a member of the Sierra Club. Right. He actually said that out loud and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. That's just nuts. But so this disease has been going on for a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah. How are we doing?
But I really look forward to Trump doing that efficiency panel and putting Elon Musk in charge of it and just cut 90% of this government, man. Just the federal government has no right to be involved in our lives to the degree that it is. I'm pretty sure we have states for that, state governments for that. So it's, you know, the laboratories of democracy. If you don't like the way your state does things, then move to a different state. You have 49 other options. But the federal government telling, you know, standardized testing and telling all the school how they run their school, how the whole country is going to run their schools and do their education. Well, you know, it's just whatever it is. I mean, it's just everything. Prosecutors get into federal prison, man. You know, you talk about one of my best friend that I made in there is an older gentleman. He's in his 70s, and he was originally given a life sentence, but he was charged with like robbing pharmacies, breaking into pharmacies and taking things, and they charged him with dozens of these things. Pharmacies that they got charged with that he couldn't possibly have done because he was locked up during those times, but the federal government just threw these things at him because him and his brother wouldn't turn on a Russian fellow that the federal government really wanted very badly, some kind of whatever. But they wouldn't cooperate, so the federal government threw everything at these guys, and then it was like several people died for some reason. They were in jail when these people died, and they charged them with murder. So they go to trial, bring it to trial, and they got found not guilty of these murders. They got found guilty of some of the pharmacies or whatever, but they got found not guilty of murders. But then the judge in the sentencing says, well, even though you were found not guilty of murder by the jury, I'm gonna add an enhancement into your charge for murder because I find you guilty by preponderance of the evidence, and so you're still getting an enhancement, and he gets a life sentence. Like, what? That's the federal government for you.
Wow.
It was
Hello,
all...
this is a prepaid call from
Dominic Fox.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $50.07. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hey,
Hello,
Dominic.
hello.
Hey there.
Hey, Northern Neck. It is Dominic Xavier Fox calling in again on another wonderful Friday night here in the DC jail. How are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing well. Doing well.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure you guys are already aware of this, but I have to mention it because it just came across our screen a couple hours ago. Are the registered voters and true citizens of the state of Virginia
excited about the fact that a federal judge today added 1,600 non-citizen voters back to the voter rolls? Or how did you guys feel about that?
Oh, I'm ashamed to say I was out stomping around in the woods and I did not hear about that.
Yeah, check it out. It's so I'm not sure. We saw that it was outside a courthouse in Alexandria today. So apparently, over 1,600 non-citizen voters were forced back on through the voter rolls in the state of Virginia. These are individuals who have even provided immigration documents showing that they're not citizens, they're not eligible to vote. But apparently, it's okay when the left changes election rules, up to the date of the election. We saw that in 2020. But now they're saying that, if any changes to the process within 90 days are unconstitutional. But thankfully, Governor Youngkin came out and said that they will be seeking a special emergency injunction from the court, and they're willing to take it all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we all know that, they're the left and these progressive radical judges will do anything they can to assist the failing Democratic Party in their attempt to hold on to power. And I pray that the American people see through the charade that the election on November 5th is too big to rig. And that ultimately, much like the fact, for not just that, we're adding non-citizens back onto the voter rolls, which is a huge problem. Then we have a place like, out in Arizona in Maricopa County, where along with Pennsylvania and Georgia, they said they're not going to have the results on election night, that in fact they need up to 13 days to tabulate and produce the results of the election. We won't know the answer on November 5th. Maricopa County, where they're going to be having snipers on top of the Board of Elections, and in a city or in a county with 4.6 million registered voters, 4.6 million citizens, they're saying they can't get the results in. When Argentina, with 46 million citizens, they can have the results tabulated and produced on election night. France, with over 65 million people, can get the results on election night. And India, with over 1.5 billion people, can produce the results on election night. It's really concerning to me, and as I'm sure it is to you all in your audience, that for some reason now, every year, like Trump talks about, we don't have election day anymore. We have election week, we have election month. And it just, I'm not concerned. I know some of the guys are talking about having a lot of anxiety, and they say, we see all these polls on Scripps where they say most voters' feelings are anxious about the election. It's frustrating because outside of the election in 2000, where I was, barely 10 years old and don't really remember, I know from the people that I've talked to and what I remember, never before, outside of 2020, and now apparently this year, have we ever found ourselves in a situation where we could not expect the results of the election on election night? And it's just something that I hope the American people are recognizing as, not just unfortunate, but ridiculous, unacceptable, and the only thing that I think we can do is make the results too big to rig, like we've seen in President Trump's rallies, and like, I know all the American citizens that I talked to seem to believe it's going to be incredible. And I'm excited to let you guys know, as we've talked about before, we have received word from the DC DOC that we will be voting in person on the 29th or 30th of this month. So even though we may not be able to turn the swamp red just yet, there will be at least 13 votes for President Trump coming from here in the future.
Awesome.
I love it.
Awesome. Yeah. So,
and I just, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, to kind of summarize your point, as technology gets better and better in the world, we see our voting prowess seems to be going backwards. That just doesn't make sense.
Well, and Tom, that's a great point. How did we manage to, of course, there's a higher population today than there was in the 1970s when, computers and the internet weren't advanced or weren't, around in the way they are today. But how have we gone from, being able to produce not just hand-counted results, but having results on election night? The results of the presidential election during the Civil War, they knew that day. Right. 100 years ago, we were, 100 years ago, over 100 years ago, we were able to figure out the results of the election on election day, and it's ridiculous, but I think the American people are finally starting to wake up. And whether, they try to, prance out Samuel L. Jackson, Usher, Beyonce, or everybody else on T. Diddy's Little Black Book list, the American people know that Kamala doesn't stand a chance at heck of winning this thing. And unlike what happened in 2020, if they do try to engage in any shenanigans, I don't think they're going to stand for it. And, I'll keep my mouth shut on that. But I did want to say, thank you to you guys there at the Northern Sentinel for sending us another edition. We just got the October edition of the Northern Sentinel, another fantastic example of citizen journalism in action. I absolutely love the article on how courage and common sense will make America great again, talking about the true history of the character of George Washington. I think he's an incredible leader. I love the Steve Bannon article talking about how victory is at hand, and I'm also excited, as you guys I'm sure know, Steve Bannon will be released this coming Thursday. He should have been out already, but he will be out in time for the election. And the one article I did want to ask you guys about, there was an article in there about your Senate candidate. I'm probably going to butcher his name. Hung Kao, the individual running against Tim Kaine.
That's it.
Fantastic. Now and if you guys haven't checked it out yet, check out the Northern Sentinel online. Read the article, because if you're like me, I heard his name. I did not know his story about how he and his family came over after the Vietnam War. They spent 7 years struggling to gain citizenship the right way. And he said, quite clearly, immigration is a great thing, but, if you're not here legally, you need to get out. Sorry, guys, hey, it's 9 o'clock. We're here for the answer. We'll be 1 second.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose cross and bright stars through the perilous fight over the red we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? USA, 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 fight, 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 fight.
We lost him. I think we lost him.
We can't hear you if you're there.
Thank you for using Global Telling.
I think they got cut.
They may have.
It seems to have been like around the same amount of time that the last call did, maybe there's something up with the tablet they're using or something.
One second.
They'll call back if they can.
It was 9 minutes. The other one was 6:52. This was 9:51. So yeah. Fantastic. Well, that was Dominic Box, and he's talking about the Northern Neck Sentinel. That website isn't it northernnecksentinel.com? Yes.
nnsentinel.com.
nnsentinel.com.
It's SENTINEL.com.
Don't misspell it.
Yep. So I think that's it. Unless you guys want to say anything else. You got anything else to say? Thank you for coming up again, man. I tell you what, it's a pleasure to have you here again with us.
Thank you so much.
Why don't you go ahead and say a few words?
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. I just want to thank you, Cheryl and Maurice, And Tom, you guys are amazing. I'm telling you, the work you've been doing and everything that you've been, getting around the information. That's really the most important thing to keep people motivated. Get the information out there and keep it in front of people's faces. And you guys have been amazing at that. Thank you so much. I mean, I know especially this area. Even around this area. I mean, this is Northern Virginia. There's a lot of libtards around here that need to be kind of red-pilled, and it doesn't even matter if you're in conservative groups or you're liberal groups. Doesn't matter. There's a utility to both. Keeping that information out there, and we're so blessed to have you. Thank you, Tom, and Cheryl and Maurice.
Well, thank you.
And Bruce.
Thank you, John. All right.
I love you guys, and I'm telling you, we're definitely I can't wait for the parties after this, when everybody's out and we can start having parties and really just cut loose. And
there's going to be some partying to be had.
Oh my goodness, we got to have some parties.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so online, just sign up for the parties, January 21st.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And thank you for everybody who's watching too.
Yeah,
It
thank
means a
you
lot.
everybody online. It's so important that you share this and get the word out, and we just got to stay here and stay strong for these men and women. All right, God bless everybody. Good night.
Good night.
And we're off.